Welcome to northern Pakistan. This is where our journey begins. I find myself sitting shotgun in an old Jeep. This 5-hour drive along the cliff edges and across raging rivers takes us from the town of Skardu to the small mountain village of Hushe, where our grand adventure will begin. I've teamed up with my good mates Josh and Chris to climb one of the most picturesque mountains in all of Pakistan. We're setting off to attempt an ascent up the sharp slopes of Laila Peak. I'll be honest, we don't know much about Laila, except that it's incredibly steep with a 55-degree slope. Apparently less than 50 people have stood atop the summit, and no Pakistani has ever summited. On day one of our journey to Laila Peak, we leave Hushe and follow the trail alongside the Hushe River for 10 kilometers. Surrounded by giant peaks, we are already stoked to be heading out into the wild.
After 10 kilometers on the trail, we've made it here to Saicho camp. It's going to be our rest stop for tonight. We're at 3,400 meters of elevation. We're about to take some lunch and enjoy these beautiful 5,000 and 6,000 meter peaks behind me, which make for a perfect backdrop and a great place to spend the night. Day one has been amazing and everything is going perfect so far.
It's a beautiful morning here at Saicho camp. We're ready for day two. We've got a pretty long walk up to Laila Peak base camp. I think we're going to have a vertical K of incline to deal with, and I've heard there's a pretty intense river crossing. We're ready, everyone's feeling good. Here's day two of our Laila Peak expedition. I'm stoked to bring you guys along for the adventure and show you some of these amazing scenes out here in northern Pakistan. I'm going to be shooting this vlog on my trusty drone and the new Insta360 X3. Check out that new screen. Here we are, we've made it to Laila Peak base camp. We're at 4,200 meters of elevation. It's honestly unbelievable how beautiful this backdrop is behind me. We've got huge peaks in all directions and a beautiful grassy plateau where we've set up our tents, our mess tent. I'll give you a bit of a tour of the facilities here at base camp. It's just us. We're going to be here for about a week or more as we try and climb Laila Peak. We've got a beautiful lake next to our campsite. Josh is already in there for a shower. Temperature's about 7 degrees, we reckon, in this communal lake bath, but great backdrop. These are our expedition tents. This is our dining room, boys chilling. telling you all day how beautiful it is here in northern Pakistan. Here's a look at our surroundings from Laila Peak Base Camp. After 2 rest days at Laila Peak Base Camp, we're on the move again. Today we're heading for an acclimatization hike to Hushe Camp, which is going to offer us some beautiful views and our first views of Laila Peak.
But you don't know my name.
Have a look at this. We're about 4 kilometers into our acclimatization hike, and we've got our first sight of the big boy, or the big girl, should I say. Laila Peak up there. And we're heading around to Chispang campsite for the iconic view. We've got the straight drop on one side and the slope on the other. It's starting to take shape. We're getting pretty excited looking at a potential route up this mountain. Alright guys, 7 kilometers later, we've rolled into Hushe camp. This is where most people stop on the way down from Gondogorola. We're coming at it in the opposite direction for a view of Laila Peak. We had some pretty nice clear skies on the way in this morning, but now it's starting to get real moody and the whole peak has been engulfed in a cloud. Made it to Hushe, 4,700 meters. Time for lunch and a rest with the lads. Alright, we've touched 4-7. It's time to head back down to our home, Laila Peak Base Camp. Got 7 kilometers back down the glacier to go. Might be heading into a storm. Interesting afternoon ahead. Alright guys, 16 kilometers later, we've made it back to Laila Peak Base Camp. Today's mission was a success. We made it to see a bunch of great angles of Laila Peak on the way to Hushe camp where we had lunch. Honestly, it took a lot out of me, pretty tired. Pretty glad to be back, and we'll take a couple of rest days, check the weather before making summit push number 1 on Laila Peak. After 5 days of waiting out the storms and the bad weather, it's time to head up. 7 a.m. here at Laila Peak Base Camp, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little bit nervous. There's definitely some apprehension in the air. The more we learn about this mountain, the more scared I get, but off we go. Our summit push number 1 on Laila Peak.
ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد صل على محمد وآل محمد ناري حيدري يا علي حيدري يا علي حيدري يا علي.
Our 6 hour up this never-ending hill. It's a monster. I think we've put in about 800 meters of vert so far, straight up through the scree. Pretty hard to grab footing, a lot of rock fall, and we've just hit 5,000 meters of elevation, almost to the top of this thing. But we hope we're going to find Camp 1. Everything from this point on is a complete unknown. Made it up to Camp 1, still had another 3 hours to go to Camp 2, so we're pitching our tents here at one of the most scenic campsites in the world, and we'll head up to Camp 2 tomorrow. That's the play for today. We're going to get our tent set up, have something to eat, and try and sleep on this rocky slope here in the Karakoram. Starting to get pretty chilly up here. It's time to retreat to the tent. That's day 1 of our summit push. Made it to Camp 1 at 5,100 meters here. We can see Laila Peak, we can see what's ahead of us. We're going to make our way up to Camp 2 tomorrow morning, see how we go from there. Good night, guys. Headaches. Good morning from day 2 of our summit push. We're in the tent. Chris has come up with a coffee at 6 AM. Josh is dealing with a raging headache. A few obstacles in our way today, but we're on the journey to Camp 2. Breakfast of hopeful champions. Of champions. As you can see behind me, guys, Laila Peak. It's that second peak in the background. We've reached Camp 2, we're at 5,400 meters. All is going well, but we're running into a few logistical issues. I think we're running a few hundred meters short on rope, and this is the first time our guides have been up here. No Pakistani has ever summited Laila Peak, so we're always unsure on how things were going to go when we got here. We're going to give it a crack tomorrow morning, but first I'm going to go on a discovery mission with the boys to see if we can get around this first horn. But yeah, not everything's going our way at the moment. We're going to give it our best. We're hoping to get at least a few hundred meters up the mountain with the rope we have, and we'll see if we can fix the rest of the mountain from there. But that's the update from now. Here's a few shots from Camp 2, Laila Peak. Okay, we're heading up to tackle the middle horn. This one up behind us. Reconnaissance mission for our summit push tomorrow morning. Really giving it a good crack. We're up here at about 5-6. We can't find a way over this hump. We're gonna have to come back next year. I think we've definitely gone bold, we've gone big, we've gone outside of our comfort zone. We're gonna have to finish up with these beautiful views of the Karakoram. Still a good effort, something to come back for next year. Now we head down. This expedition was made possible by the Insta360 Think Bold Fund. And trust me, there's nothing more bold than heading out on an expedition, having no idea where you're heading or if you're going to summit. If you submit a bold idea of your own, who knows, you may just end up on a crazy adventure of a lifetime. You can check the link in the description to submit your idea to the Think Bold Fund. Back to the tent. It's the end of day 2 on our quest for Laila Peak. Pretty disappointing day. Ultimately our expedition is over now. I mean, anytime you fail at something it's pretty disappointing, but sometimes you got to listen to the mountain and read the situation. So we're not feeling like this one's going the right direction. We don't have enough rope. Our guides have never summited, and the conditions are a little bit interesting for us to go without fixed lines. So hey, next year. Good morning guys, hope you enjoyed those beautiful views of Camp 2 here on Laila Peak. There she is behind us. It's time to say goodbye for at least a year to this beautiful steep peak. We're heading down to Laila Peak base camp now. It's going to be about a 1400 meter drop in elevation, so we'll get some nice oxygen back, and then tomorrow we'll be heading all the way back down to Hushe. So expedition is wrapping up. Here's the views on the way down. After 4 hours and 1400 meters of decline down the rocky slopes, we've arrived back at Laila Peak base camp. I'm going to end this adventure video here, but I hope you've enjoyed our summit attempt of Laila Peak. I'm sure it won't be our last. And remember, if you have a crazy idea of your own, submit it to the Think Bold Fund. by clicking the link in the description below, and who knows, you might just be heading out on the adventure of a lifetime. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. I'm now going to give you a few tips on how to shoot with the Insta360 and a few of the ways I think you can get the most out of this camera up in the mountains. A few little techniques, tips and tricks. So here we go. When I'm on a narrow cliff edge like this in the mountains, I hold the 360 with a fully extended stick and a straight arm. This gives me the best chance of getting that invisible drone shot and showing the epic drop as best as possible with the least fisheye walk. One of my favorite things about the Insta360 camera is the ability to reframe the shot later. If you're using a regular camera, you have to set up the shot, make sure you've got everything correct. But with the Insta360, I can climb, hike, and adventure. And then when I get back to the editing lab later, which is just on my phone, I can sort out the best angle. One of the most important factors when shooting with the 360 camera when there's sun around is to make sure that neither of the lenses are pointing directly at the sun. Try and make sure that both lenses are getting about the same amount of light. This way it'll be easier for the camera to stitch out the stick and it'll give you the most seamless shot you can get. Another awesome shot I love is the POV. Basically you mount the Insta360 to your head or your helmet, and then you get that awesome POV of your hands or your feet. Basically, the camera's going to see what your eyes are seeing with an even greater field of view because of the 360 camera. It's one of the best shots you can get while going down a sketchy ridge where you don't want to be actually holding the 360 camera. This is actually the first full vlog I've shot on the Insta360, and I've been really impressed with the audio quality, and I've also loved the versatility of switch between flat and the 360 mode with just one click of the button on the back screen. So I'm pretty impressed. I'm probably going to keep using it to vlog. Compared to other cameras, I just get the same flat mode with 360 in one camera. It's super small, fits in the side pocket of my backpack, and it's a great adventure vlog camera. So hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm going to put the link down in the description if you want to check out any of the Insta360 camera range. It's working for me, getting some cool shots and enjoying the climb.